going on, guys, and welcome back to another very exciting video. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Google specifically, but I also want to take a broader look at the big tech industry because what is going on with Google is very interesting. Google has lagged behind a lot of other big tech players, and I want to discuss why that is. In my opinion, there is one key element that is going on with Google that a lot of investors are looking at and really not liking with the company, and we could see Google potentially change that over this next year, but they've really held out against it. So we're going to talk about that issue, and then I also want to go over their earnings and what could potentially go on over the next couple of weeks that could really help boost Google's stock. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Let's start off by taking a look at Google's stock chart. We can see here today the stock is up around 0.5%. Over the last 5 days, however, it is down almost 5%. Over the last month, down around 2%. Over the last 6 months, however, it is up over 20%, and year to date it is up 34.5%. So overall, a very good year so far for Google. However, if we look at the last 5 years, we could see that in the end of 2021, the stock peaked out around $150. However, it is down still 20% from those highs. In my opinion, the most comparable big tech company to Google is Microsoft, and Microsoft has a very similar trend as to Google. They peaked out around November of 2021 at $343, and since then they traded down around 35% and then traded back up around 55% to where they're sitting at now, which is again around that $343. So they are trading basically back at all-time highs. Apple is not as comparable, but when we look, we can see they also peaked out around the same time period, December of 2021 at $179. From there, they did trade down a fair amount, around 27%. However, from these lows, they have traded all the way back up around 50% to the highs they're sitting at now of around $190. So if we compare where they peaked out back in 2021 to now, they are actually trading up over 8%. NVIDIA is not as comparable to Google. However, they do have exposure to AI technology, which Google is also involved in. And we can see that the stock peaked out around $329 back in November of 2021. From there, it traded down around 65% to the lows, and from there they have traded on a massive bull run up almost 300% to where they're trading at now of $443. So compared to these other three companies, Google is the only one that is currently trading down over the last year to year and a half. In my opinion, the biggest reason why Google is lagging behind the rest of the tech sector is employee count. We can see that over the last 5 years, they have almost doubled their employee count. In 2018, they had 98,000 employees, and in 2022, they had 190,000 employees. And on top of that, they pay some of the highest salaries for their employees. Recently, some salaries have been leaked for around 12,000 employees at Google for 2022, and we can see that their highest paid software engineer had a base salary of $718,000. However, most of their software engineers were listed in a range between $100,000 and $375,000. On Indeed.com, they have the average software engineer salary in the US sitting at $115,000. This is clearly at the bottom range of what Google is paying, and overall Google is paying far above this to the majority of their employees. Here we have some of the highest base salaries that Google is paying, and all of these are fairly high, all above $300,000. Here the engineering manager is sitting at $400,000, which in my opinion this could actually be a little bit low, especially if you're paying your software engineer $718,000. What's more interesting though is some of these sales jobs and other categories, they're still all in the $200,000 range, the lowest one being $160,000 for a media account specialist. And if we scroll down even further, we can see some of their business jobs, again all sitting in the $200,000 range, except for the three we have down here of business systems analyst, functional strategy, as well as global client services, which are still very close to $200,000. And when we compare Google to Microsoft, Google has hardly laid off any of their employees. Microsoft, however, has already announced a second layoff coming here in July. They They originally announced 10,000 employees were going to be laid off in January, and then in July they have announced that they are going to continue slimming down their workforce to help cut costs. If Google is not going to focus on cost cutting, they need to focus on increasing revenue and EPS. And one of the ways they could do that is by following suit with what Microsoft just announced, where they are going to be charging corporations to use their AI products within Microsoft Office. And this could help Google really bolster their earnings. For 2023, analysts currently have an average EPS estimate of $5.33. They have a low estimate of $4.41 and a high estimate of $6.02. And for 2024, they have an average estimate of $6.28, a low estimate of $5.26, and a high estimate of $7.29. If Google does announce that it is going to start charging for their AI services, that could help boost some of these numbers and some of these analyst expectations around the stock, which could help bolster the stock price and bring it up in a massive way. Google is going to announce their earnings on July 25th, and analysts are currently projected that EPS will come in at $1.34 and revenue will come in at $72.75 billion. And Google does need to start coming in with some strong numbers, especially in terms of their EPS. We could see that last quarter they did come in with a solid beat of 9%. However, in December they missed by 12%, and then in September they missed by 16%. So it's going to be very important to see Google coming in and really hitting or beating their EPS numbers. One good thing that Google does have going for it is its valuation. Currently, it's trading at a forward P ratio of 22.37. If we look about a year ago, it was trading at a 15.85. That was relatively low. Overall, the market was trading very low, and that would have been a great time to be adding Google shares. I was at that time. However, if we look at the rest of big tech, it is trading at a premium. Here we can see that Microsoft is currently trading at a forward P ratio of 31.06. So almost 10 points higher than where Google is trading, and even back around a year ago, they were trading at a 23.09. So they tend to always trade at a premium compared to Google just because of how solid a moat that Microsoft does have. So keep in mind, I do own Google. I like this company for the long term. I think they have a lot of upside potential, and they still have fairly decent upside potential here where they're trading at now, especially when you compare them to the rest of big tech. If I had to invest in either Apple or Google right now, I think Google is actually trading at a lower valuation and has more upside now than Apple does currently. And that just has to do with me looking at all-time highs and basically where the stocks are trading at now. And I think Google is just having a tough time getting through the phase of really potentially laying off people. They have very high costs, and that is causing a drag on the business and a drag for investors really seeing the company as a positive moving forward. And I think if they get through that, they will start jumping up in a massive way. If they were to announce 10,000, 5,000 people being laid off, I think investors would actually see this as a very, very positive thing and a step in the right direction for cutting costs. But keep in mind, do not buy a company just because some random person on YouTube talked about it. Make sure you are doing your own research and looking into companies that meet your risk tolerance as well as your time horizon. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day.